Hey there, and welcome to Making the Most of It, a conversational podcast aiming to educate, enlighten, and empower through intimate and timely conversations with industry-leading health professionals, entrepreneurs, moms, dads, athletes, and beyond. I'm Jennifer Morgan, pediatric occupational therapist and host of this fun, new digital adventure. I'm so excited you're joining the conversation. We've got lots to discuss in this precious window of time, so let's get started. This is Making the Most of It. This week, we're sitting down with a model, entrepreneur, mother, and philanthropist. In this candid and enlightening interview, we discuss everything from finding your spiritual truth to parenting a child with special needs. Kristine has a unique and heartwarming story and believes that life doesn't happen to you, it happens for you. Stay tuned for an inspiring conversation. Hi there, Kristine. Thank you so much for being here with us today. I'm so excited to chat with you and hear more about your story, what you've been up to. And I first want to open up with a question that I'm asking everyone right now, which is, what is the first place that you want to travel to, or it can be a restaurant or any place, or foreign land that you want to go to when things open up again?
Thank you. First, thank you for having me on here. I'm a huge admirer of what you do professionally for our children and my child's.
Thank
Matthew.
you.
And it's an honor to be here,
Thank
especially in the format of the podcast that I just love
Thank you.
so much, making the most of.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Great
Thank you.
question, especially being right before Christmas. Literally, Christmas Eve is tomorrow, and I find myself in a dilemma that my son is with his father, and my beloved partner is actually in an isolation too for COVID because there's a first degree of COVID contact. So
that's where we are now.
It's like all of a sudden I'm with my Christmas tree and my stocking on the chimney and everything all by myself. And, I was talking to my sister this morning and she said, well, how are you doing? And I said, I had a little bit of a, rough weekend when I found out that I wasn't going to be spending the holidays with, John, but then I guess I'm making the most of it. And I called Martin.
Yeah.
Martin, we got to make this video cast happen. Martin went out to the desert in quarantines and I've been isolating at home. We said, let's get together and do this because, like Mother Teresa said, we can't wait for leaders. Let's do it alone, person to person. And if one person can hear this and realize that they're not alone in their feelings of, a little bit of a winter solstice solitude and dormancy and, we're all in this together, no matter what we think all of us have. We all have our emotions and our feelings and we're all connected energetically. So even if we don't think we're feeling the pain, we are feeling the pain on one level or another. And right now there's so much of it out there that it's almost, you'd almost be, lying to yourself or denying if you didn't say I have some sort of, contact with it.
Right. So that first question was a little, it's challenging on top of being challenging. Yeah.
What would I be? Oh my God. That's so bad. Now I'm totally a hermit at home.
So
now
cute.
the truth comes out. She doesn't want to go anywhere.
You've done, I loved chatting with you earlier this week.
Hawaii. So I would say I would want to rebook our tickets to Hawaii. Yeah, we were supposed to go to Kauai on the 26th with our best friends.
Paradise.
Yeah. the two boys and the two couples.
Oh.
I
Oh,
was so excited
sounds
for a
lovely.
90 days
Yeah.
holiday, and then all of a sudden, this kind of the madness started, and I said, "Oh, well, I guess maybe not so much." So we
Yeah.
canceled the trip. We got half of it back, but so that's where I'd
Yeah.
like to go. I'd really like to go to Hawaii. It's such a healing place for me,
It really is. Yeah.
and just be in the
I
water,
love that.
in the wind.
Well, you can
Pina
look forward to
coladas.
that one day. One day
Getting in
we'll
that
visualize it. Yeah.
I have nothing to do
Oh,
with
that
it.
sounds so lovely. Oh.
Coconut syrup.
Well, I do really appreciate you honestly jumping into just the situation we're in and, you know, how difficult this really it's been a really long time now that we've, had to deal with this COVID situation. And I love that you used, how can we make the most of this? What seems like a negative, it's a tough situation that we're all facing right now. But finding the silver lining, here and there where we can. And I just feel like you and your, just I love your social media feed. I love the information that you share. I feel like you do that on a regular basis.
Thank
So I admire that. And I'm just, yeah. So do you want to share a little bit
you.
about,
I think I really like
what
to,
inspires you? And
I've been a model for almost 30 years, and when social media came out, we have such a, glorified painted picture of who we are, and especially
Mhm.
when the retouching came out, and posting all these fabulous photos from around the world. And I started to realize that people would see me, and I'd arrive on shoots, and they'd say, "Oh my God, you have the perfect life. How's your perfect life? How's your perfect son? How's your perfect this? How's your perfect that?" But the reality was, I struggled emotionally, um, almost my entire life. My father committed suicide when I was 10, which left me
Oh my
with
God.
like
I'm
huge,
so sorry.
huge consequences of
Oh God.
a lifetime of struggling with hyper emotions and prolonged post traumatic stress
Yeah.
disorder. And I invested my
My goodness.
entire savings of my modeling career and years to really find the truth of what that was for me. What is life for me? Because I had
Mhm.
this gorgeous life, and I was so unsettled inside and depressed, and people would
Mhm.
say, like, "What's wrong with you? What's wrong with her?"
Right.
Long story short, I got to a point where I had to radically change everything. And I arrived here in LA to study with a yogi Sikh, Guru Singh, wonderful
Oh.
man who became like a godfather to me,
Amazing.
and did like a Kundalini yoga teacher training program, and dove into all sorts of modalities of healing, from dialectical behavioral therapy, cognitive behavioral therapy, integrative
Amazing.
medicine, spiritual journeys, workshops, retreats,
Wow.
meditations, just absorbing, reading books,
Yeah.
coming, listening to people like Tony Robbins and Dalai Lama
Yep.
and Deepak Chopra, and really started to find a common denominator in all of these things, and I was also really passionate about nutrition. I was,
Mhm.
hospitalized in an eating disorder clinic when I was 21 years old. I was severely
Wow.
anorexic, 98 pounds, which
Oh
was
my
about
goodness.
30 pounds lighter than I am now.
Wow.
And so when I went to get my brain scanned at the Amen Clinic, over a decade ago, I started to learn that actually how your brain functions is by what you feed it. Guess what? You
Mhm.
feed your brain, not just your body. So that was
Hello.
like, we don't
Science.
learn that. Nobody talks
Right,
about
right.
that. You
I
can't
know.
eat to be skinny.
There's a lot of things we don't learn in school that I'm like,
Anyway,
oh,
yeah.
would be
So
helpful.
coming back uh, coming back to my life lesson, of my ultimate lesson. So, a few years ago, not a several, a few years ago, my young son, who was 3.5 at the time, this is a little bit of a challenging story to share, but
I
He
appreciate it.
was taken by his father, who I was living with. We did not have a very happy relationship personally, although our relationship with our beautiful son, who's special needs, he's autistic on the
Matthew.
spectrum,
Yeah.
Matthew, which is
And it's
how
that's how we
we
know each
met.
other. I
Yeah.
know. He's
Um,
amazing.
you know,
Ugh.
we had a relationship, the father and I, that we couldn't see eye to eye. And instead of having the ability to work it out amicably, he snatched Matthew. They call it a custody grab, and he, held him in an undisclosed location. And I didn't know
Mm.
where Matthew was for 40 days.
Mm.
Um,
Ugh.
I was, served and charged with, how attorneys can be so
Mm.
wonderfully charming, the most egregious,
Mm.
things, and fighting for my motherhood, fighting for my life. Literally, it
Oh my
was
goodness.
like my entire life's definement was on trial.
Oh my
All of a
gosh.
sudden, my cobwebs were in the forthright, and then on
Yeah.
top of that, being added to, beautiful tinsels of decorations of things that didn't even exist. And so I was like, oh my God, what's going to happen? And I
Mm-hmm.
realized at that moment, it was as if all of my decades of studying and all my years and hard journey of trying to understand what life was about came clear. And I knew that this was my moment to
Mm-hmm.
show the world that I had grace and that
Mm-hmm.
I was
Wow.
strong and that I
Yeah.
was not going to let this moment define my identity. And I wasn't going to let them win, you know? And
Mm-hmm.
crazy enough, 12 days into, I call it the kidnapping. So
Yeah. I mean, that must have been the longest 30 or 40 days
40 days.
of your life. I mean, oh
12
my
days into the
gosh.
kidnapping, imagine, I have such magic in my life. It's unbelievable. But I find
Mm-hmm.
myself face to face, not, it was a literal, like, you have to come to my office. You need to meet this person is coming here. And I come face to face with a real shaman with orange
Wow.
hair, orange eyes. I'd never spoken to a shaman before. So I really
Wow.
didn't understand what that was until she looked
Mm-hmm.
at me and she said to me, you know, my 3 children were taken by their father, but I lost them for 12 years. You've been 12
Oh my
days.
God.
You know why
Oh.
you are here, she said to me. She said,
Ooh.
I know you
Ooh.
know why
Ooh.
this is happening to you. And I looked at her and I said, yes, I do. I know
Ooh.
why. Because I've asked to ascend. Because when I was working with Guru Singh years back, I had told him, I
Ooh.
don't want to have a child if I have to give him the genealogy of suffering that I've inherited from my father, who inherited it from his genealogy, from his.
Right.
I want to
Ancestral trauma. Right.
ancestral trauma. I want to break whatever that is and
Moving
get
forward.
it,
Yeah.
and then I will be free to have a child.
Mm, I love
And
this,
Matthew
Kristine.
was
Thank
not
you so much
planned.
for sharing.
You're welcome. But Matthew was not planned. He
Oh.
was literally like, his name is Matthew, which means gift from God, because
Mm.
when I was 2 weeks pregnant, I looked at my belly and a voice said to me, that is Matthew. I was like,
Wow.
I hate that name. I was
What?
Miles. I want the name Miles. Like,
You're
every
like,
day,
what?
that is Matthew.
No.
That is Matthew. That is Matthew every
Oh,
day.
it is a perfect name. I mean, he's so Matthew. He's so cute. It fits
Well,
him
yes, I
perfectly.
looked
So
it up online. What does Matthew mean? It means gift of God. So that's his name.
there you
So
go.
going back to the story, so she said, I said, yeah, I asked for this. I want to ascend. Whatever this is telling me this story, I
Yeah.
want to get through it. She said, you have to thank every day. You have to pray. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Mhm.
We are
Gratitude.
free. We are complete. We are off the hook. thank you, thank you,
Mm,
thank you. She said, you pray to your father of your son, you pray for your son, and you pray for yourself every day. And you know what? That's what I did. I
mm,
went to the beach every day. I sat on my balcony every day and I said, thank you, thank you, thank you. And I realized that this time that I didn't have Matthew, I could pull in gratitude for things that otherwise I wouldn't have had the opportunity to
mhm.
do. I had 4 dogs at the time. I always have, like, a menagerie of dogs. I think I had 4 dogs at the time. So I would go to the beach and I would say, "Thank you, God, for giving me this time to be with my dogs, because since I've had the child, I've been neglecting them. Thank you, God."
You
Yeah.
found the silver
Thank you,
linings, right?
God, for Matthew not being here so I can work on the legal case, because
Wow.
otherwise I would be caring for him and I wouldn't have
Right.
the time to prepare so diligently what I needed to do. Thank you, God,
Wow.
you know? And so
Yeah.
this
Wow. So you used gratitude for during this time,
during this
the
time,
shaman
and
helped you be grateful even in this terrible situation that no mother would ever wish upon anyone,
yeah, and,
any other mother. And
found
you got through it.
a detective found Matthew for me and, forced him to go on a FaceTime call with me. And the first thing I
Mm.
said to Matthew when he said, "Mommy, I want to come home," I said, "Baby, how is your vacation with daddy? You know, but you're on vacation and you're going to come home."
So he wasn't scared.
So he was
I
scared, but
love
so
that.
he was,
Well, you
so
helped.
I
Oh.
helped him. And, I realized things, there are
Mm.
moments in your life you don't realize how much they change you, but, there's this
Right.
movie, A Beautiful
Wow.
Life, the Italian
Yeah.
film,
Oh, I love that film.
and
It's a beautiful film.
I think about this movie
Mm.
every single day, when I raise Matthew in a trauma, or especially through this pandemic. And, I've
Yeah.
even posted online, I've posted,
Yeah.
as parents, we have got to watch this movie and we have got
Yeah.
to realize that our children will experience this pandemic the way we allow them to experience it.
Right.
It's
Oh, I
not,
yes, I agree.
it's not,
I
I
agree.
have to homeschool you. I get to homeschool you. I
Right.
am so excited, you know,
Right.
because we know children are suffering.
Right.
We know that they're,
We're able to children are suffering and they're internalizing it and they don't know how to express it, whereas, the adults in the room
I don't know.
we're able
I don't
to.
know. I was screaming in my car the other day when John
Yeah, no,
said,
that's true. Right.
Christmas
But I
together.
feel like the kids are going to have a reaction. I feel like, I how this is going to impact them, we don't know. But I think, and when you and I, spoke earlier, I think it was this week or last week, just the how you're just your calm demeanor, the way that present information, your attitude about things, it's so inspiring. And
Thank you.
I wish, and I know other parents, wish that they could uh, have that, ability. And, some people, there's parents that are working, I mean, and trying to do the homeschool thing and have their kid online and then, trying to be in meetings all day. It's so
Yeah,
hard for everyone. And I think that
it, it,
that's one thing, but I think your that background that you have, your, like you said, ascension and your higher beliefs, and it's really groundedness, but also this larger concept of understanding, your role in Matthew's life and who he is as an individual, and how you guys are interconnected. It's really, really incredible. So
well,
yeah,
I didn't
it's
really,
pretty amazing.
thank you very much. I didn't really
Yeah.
realize the full spectrum of impact of this story of the kidnapping. And then I started to realize, in the Bible, they use 40 days to teach spiritual truth. It's 40 days from the resurrection to the ascension. Jesus was tested for
Wow.
40 days. And in
Wow.
Noah's Ark, it rained and flooded for 40 days and nights.
Wow. There you go. Your 40 days.
Can you imagine, like, literally when I sat in court with the father, it was the 39th day that he had been missing, and I couldn't believe when the judge said, "All right, well, dad can have him for one more night, and then you can have him tomorrow." And I was just like,
Ooh.
you know,
Ooh.
you know?
Okay.
And now I realize, like, I get chills
Yeah.
because this, like, no, it wasn't
40 days.
39.
Yeah.
I had to wait that one more day with grace. I had
Interesting. I
to.
feel, have you, when you look back on your, this is just more of a personal question. When you look back on your life, do you feel like things have always maybe kind of aligned, maybe even when you were younger, but you never noticed until you kind of had this experience? Or do you feel like since you've had that experience that more you're noticing more things align? Do you have a
That's
take
very
on that?
interesting. I think that there's a progression of awareness, definitely a progression of awareness. And it's interesting you should ask this. I was just thinking that this morning, how we cannot blame our children for not wearing masks. I was really thinking this because when you're younger, even when you're a young adult, you don't have the experiences that give you kind of the weight and the suffering and the responsibilities. You don't have
Right.
that. So you don't have really anything to base yourself from. You
Right.
don't really recognize the consequences of your action because you haven't experienced it. And it's really true.
Exactly.
I really do think it's impossible to truly fully empathize or have compassion for somebody in a situation until you've been there in their shoes.
Right.
And,
Right.
so as we talk about, have I been more aware? Yeah, of course, my awareness has grown. I think that everything in my life has happened for a reason. And no, I
Hmm.
wouldn't go back. And I even had my own suicide attempt, and I was saved. I didn't
Oh my
die.
God.
That's another story for another podcast. My
Oh,
dog,
Christine.
yeah, my dog,
We'll have to definitely, oh my
I know.
God. We'll
So,
have to, yeah, that's another story. I'm so sorry, but I'm so glad you're
no,
okay.
no, more than
And thank you for sharing.
okay.
These are intense topics, and I'm really grateful that
Thank you. No, I'm
we know each other professionally, but through Matthew and, working with him and I feel like we've been connected, but I'm so grateful that
thank you.
you're being vulnerable,
Well,
and
I'm
I really appreciate you telling
I'm
your story. So
no, I'm actually developing a platform, like, to teach what I did to heal myself because I did
love it.
actually reverse, prolonged post-traumatic stress disorder and depression and mental illness, and I got my brain
Wow.
scanned a decade later, and I healed
Yeah,
myself, and people don't
that's
realize that you
amazing.
can. And,
Right.
I think it's in raising a child with special needs in the middle of a
Right.
pandemic with an
Oh,
egregious, uh, situation custody-wise, but,
yeah.
everybody thinks we're best friends, so really that's all that matters, right? Especially.
Yeah, as long and Matthew seems so happy. Actually, can we talk about Matthew for
I
just a
would
minute?
love
But
to
just
talk
because
about Matthew.
he's such a little love, and I know him fairly well. I love, again, thank you for sharing that horrible story, but I'm so glad it all turned out okay. And I think I would love to know just your advice or experience regarding you said Matthew, I think he's 7, right? 7 years old.
7, yeah.
He has, he's on the spectrum, on the autism spectrum,
Mhm.
and he, I know he goes to, Malibu schools. Uh, what has been what is something I think that you would love to share with the audience or other moms, or just, I guess, the biggest challenge and then maybe the greatest uh, thing you've learned from this experience with having, a child, an incredible child with special needs, and just biggest challenge, and then just what you've learned, I think.
Thank you. Well, the first thing I
Yeah.
learned is, when Matthew was in my belly, and then as soon as he was born, I would give him affirmations every day. and I would do it through the alphabet. A is for amazing because Matthew is
I
amazing.
love
B
that.
is beautiful because Matthew is beautiful. C is for caring. And I would go through all these wonderful affirmations, and then sometimes I would sing them.
Love
And
it.
then I realized that when he was diagnosed with autism, in the beginning, when they're 3, 4, it's fine in school, in socialization. People realize there's a little bit of a difference, but there's still the ability to, he's sweet or he's quirky or he's
Mm-hmm.
different. And I recognized that the power of my affirmations from when Matthew was young started to really pay off and build in the years 5, 6, and 7 when he
Wow.
started to recognize he was different.
Yeah.
And because he would say, Mommy, nobody wants to play with me. I would say, Matthew, you're amazing. And I
Mm-hmm.
tell him that he vibrates on a
Mm-hmm.
different
He does.
frequency than
He's incredible.
other children. And
Yeah.
that his gift of being individual and unique is that which is his responsibility to share with others. Because
Mm-hmm.
I say, thank God you're different. I mean, we should all say that, right? I mean, just this
Yeah.
morning,
Right.
I posted a
I
picture this
agree.
morning of my sun damage
Yeah.
and what I really look like, an unretouched picture of myself. It's in these imperfections that we
Authentic.
are, yes, that we are perfect. I am who I am, and that is that. That's my favorite song from my teacher. I
I
am
love
who I
that.
am, and that is that. Thank God for that.
Mm-hmm.
And I am
I love
amazing.
that.
And Matthew is amazing. And you know
Mm-hmm.
what?
And he knows it.
And it's okay that he's not
Yeah.
the norm. You know what I say, Guru Singh? And I say, Guru
What
Singh.
is normal?
Guru Singh says, they call me crazy. Thank God.
Thank God.
Otherwise, I'd
Yes.
be normal.
Really.
Let's
I
all
mean,
embrace
yeah.
our quirks and individuality.
Quirkiness, right.
Matthew's
Yes.
6 years old. He's read the 4 first books of Harry Potter, and he understands it. That's a little. I haven't even read the first 4 books of
No,
Harry Potter.
I haven't either. Don't tell anyone.
There attributes,
Yeah, that's fantastic. And
and
I
so I
think,
tell parents. Well, you asked me what did I learn. I learned that
yeah,
we create our children and we create
yeah,
who they are, and we have got to start affirming their amazement and their authenticity and their graces. And these children are our future, for God's sakes. Don't we
yeah,
want to give them what
right.
we didn't have?
Yeah. Yes. In terms of not just material things or
No,
experiences, but
I wasn't even
the emotional, right?
I was
That's what I think you're talking about,
no, I was
right?
totally
The
emotionally.
Yeah, the emotionally, the emotional connection, the just connection, and what you didn't have, you want to be able to pass that on, especially because you've done such an incredible job on your own healing journey. And
Every day it's a
uh
process.
yeah,
Every day. Every day. I woke up this
yeah,
morning, I FaceTimed my partner John, and I said, I'm so sorry that I've been angry these last few
mm,
days. I just was so emotionally upset that we're not spending Christmas together. But then I realized,
yeah,
I woke up this morning and I said, you know what? Yeah, I'm upset, but how do I want to take the next 4 days? I
right,
want to take them
mm,
in love with you the way we always are,
yeah,
just through video. And you
right,
can have your emotions and you can have your feelings and your hurts and and it's like, but you have this journey from A to B, and you're gonna have to go there. Like we have to. Like
mm-hmm.
Christmas is
And how are you going to
coming,
handle it? How are you going to deal with it?
the choice
Right,
is yours. Like we
right,
all have that choice. And I know that
right,
some people say, well, I can't help it. Well, that's what I want to give back to people is little things like, nutrition and mental health and environmental health and affirmations. I'm going to give back to people these tools that I've learned and that I
Great.
use to have totally transformed my life so that you can make that choice in your life
Amazing.
and you can make that choice for your children.
Yeah. So are you going to, can you share, or are you not ready to share how can people learn more information or, get in touch with you in terms of what you're going to be offering?
Thank
So
you.
many amazing things you're going to be
Thank
offering.
you. Well, for me,
Yeah.
I love Instagram, and I take Instagram as my home base because it's something
Hmm.
that I manage from my heart. And so I will be, launching the platform through there first, and then Facebook, of course. I have my personal website, but just follow me on Instagram. It's easy, Kristine Szabo, KristineSzabo, and you'll
Great.
see it.
Yay.
Thank you,
Wonderful.
Jennifer.
And then one more quick question. So what would you say inspires you the most, or one piece of advice that you would want to give really anyone listening, no matter how old they are, or, what their gender is, what experience they have, life experience? What's one thing that you've learned, along your journey that you want to, like, one takeaway?
That life doesn't happen to you, it happens for you.
Oh, I love that. Thank you.
Thank
Oh my
you.
gosh. Thank you so much, Kristine.
Thank
This was
you.
such a beautiful conversation, and I'm so grateful for your time. And
Always
thank you for sharing from your heart. And
a
I hope I get to
pleasure.
see you and Matthew soon, sooner rather than later.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Jennifer. Really,
Thank you so
really,
much, Kristine.
my pleasure.
All right, you guys, that's the end of our show. Thank you so much for joining us this week. Let's always remember to stay humble, be kind, and to take the opportunities we have to help educate, enlighten, and empower ourselves and those around us. We've only got this one life. Let's live it well, or try by making the most of it. Take care till next time.